think the Kigali course was more suited to him because it was just, like you say, up and down all the time with the cobblestones. Like you say, we know that Pogacar's really good on there, whereas when it's just pure tarmac, okay, he's still going to be better than other people, but almost the discrepancy between him and the next person should be a little bit less because the cobblestones aren't in there. So I'd say, yes, it's less suited to him, but that doesn't mean it's like not. It just means that maybe the difference between him and the next person might not be quite as big as it was in Kigali.
But we're most welcome to someone else, a man who hasn't represented his country since 2018 in the under-23 World Championships in Innsbruck, where he was against Tadej Pogacar, and that man is Jonas Vingegaard. And I mean, Patrick, we were all surprised with this. I was super surprised. I thought this was a late April Fool's when we saw this. He was rumored to be going to Rwanda, but decided not to. And probably for the best, because I don't think he suits cobbles. Well, who knows? Yeah, we'll never know now. But yeah, he's heading up this Danish team. Denmark had limited success in Rwanda, 4th place with Mathias Skjelmose Jensen, who's also in this team. You've got Rasmus Søjbjerg in there as well, Kasper Pedersen, Mads Pedersen, no relation, Niklas Larsen, Alexander Kamp, Anton Charming, and then Jonas Vingegaard being the crown jewel in this Danish team. But yeah, the reason why he's here is because he's won the Drone Classic in the past. I mean, I would love to see him win the European Championships. Imagine, well, we talked this up, like, was it last year or something like that, where we wanted Remco Evenepoel he was world champion, and then to win the European bands, and then you'd have those two fighting up in those two iconic jerseys. And I mean, here we're saying the same thing. Vingegaard in Europeans and Worlds, Pogacar up the ways next year. That would be impressive, but is that going to happen, Patrick?
Just thinking about it, I'm not sort of just going to say Jonas can't do anything. But I think the main problem, right, is, like you say, I know he's won the, what was it, the Phone Ardèche?
The drum. He beat
the Phone Drone Classic, but that was like years ago. Like, I could barely remember what happened in that season. That was so long ago. Jonas doesn't do one-day races a lot. It's just a straight-up fact. But when I think back to the Parcours is quite suited to him. All you have to do is look back to the first week of the Tour this year, where we were seeing up, the Mur de Bretagne. Really those early stages where Pogacar was really going hard. That's which I can't remember exactly which stage it was. I think it might have been stage 4. Pogacar won ahead of Van der Poel, and Vingegaard was third in that stage, or even the first stage of the Dauphiné this year where they attacked and Vingegaard was on the wheel. I don't feel like Vingegaard is really going to be the instigator of the attacking per se, but I think that he has stepped up in his puncher abilities this year to try and match Pogacar in the Tour de France, and maybe as a consequence he might be somewhat competitive. I think it's just more of like a mental mindset sort of thing, where doing that in a Grand Tour is very different to doing it in a one-day race perspective. So him keeping up with Pogacar isn't just going to be like him being able to do it in a Grand Tour. I think it's going to be slightly different, because you need to actually have the racecraft to follow him and position yourself in the bunch at all times. So I think that's the only thing that works against Vingegaard, is his lack of one-day racing experience against Pogacar's. But I think in terms of physical ability, I don't think he'd be too far off.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Will definitely be very interesting. I think the Danish team is very strong compared to the team of Slovenia, for instance. But that plays into a theory what you said, that Pogacar is just going to light it up a lot sooner. Anyway, we can't talk about these two without the other guy who finished on the podium in 2024, Remco Evenepoel, the man closest to that World Championship double, despite being a bit flat after the road race. Disappointed with that, but still coming away with a World Championships, a third one in the rainbow jersey, and then second place is pretty impressive by him. What do you think his chances are? Will he have revenge on his menu? What is his plan to do better than what happened in Rwanda?
I don't know, maybe like a 5th bike change this time round might work out, or a 6th, 7th. I reckon the more bikes he goes through, the better it gets, actually, funnily enough. Apparently, I even saw a story, apparently there was nothing wrong with his bike at the end of it. I think it was all just kind of mental. But anyway, that's just Remco, to be honest. Honestly, he does have a decent shot. It is a good course for him. It's very, I think that kind of long climb, 7k, 7%. I think that's pretty good for Remco. It's not like overly long where he'd get found out. And the shorter ones, we've seen how good he is in Liège. Right? He is a very good rider, and that's that's the understatement of the century, really. But he is good at the short efforts. Kigali, he was second, despite everything, and it looked like he was almost just going to be out of the race. He kept coming back and back. So I think he's clearly got the physical capabilities at the moment. It's just his problem is beating Pogačar. Poggy's going to know that Remco and Vingegaard are his main rivals, and he's going to just mark them. How does Remco get rid of Pogačar? I don't really know, because I don't think he could get rid of him on the climbs. He's going to have to launch like a really sneaky attack on the flat between the climbs, try and get a small gap and just hammer it and hope that Poggy doesn't get on the wheel, essentially, is really the only way that I see Remco winning. So I think Remco will do well, but I just think that winning's going to be really hard for him. But he's got a really strong team around him, to be fair. Benoit is back after his positive COVID test I think he had before Kigali. Steph Kras, Julien Lecerf, Sandro Morisa, Maxime Van Hills, Louis Vavaca, and Jeno Berkmos are the ones who are kind of supporting him. So I think it's pretty obviously all around Evenepoel, but I just find it hard to see the scenario where he's going to win. But what do you see from Remco in this race?
Do I see from Remco? I'm a bit confused why he couldn't follow the wheel of Tadej Pogacar on that initial attack, but I feel like he's just going to get into another Group 2 dynamic and maybe get a bit more frustrated there. And yeah, I just think he can't follow the initial acceleration from Pogacar. But that you've been saying through this whole preview, I think maybe this course lends it more to him trying to get something organized back. And without the excessive bike changes, maybe he can limit a bit more. But I think if he catches Pogacar, it's just going to be a bit like Amstel Gold, where Pogacar could get rid of him anyway in the sprint. So I don't see better than second or third for him. I don't think he's winning this.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just really hard to see how he's going to win it. And yeah, I think also apparently he couldn't follow because of his saddle being dropped or something like that. But I think in a way he was just riding within himself. Like he knew he couldn't follow and he just sensibly just rode at his own pace. And I think even if he did hang on, I think he would have just got dropped like Ayuso on the next climb, to be honest. So I think he did what was right. Ultimately, he finished second, which is as good as you can finish pretty much when Pogacar's in a race.
What other riders? I'm thinking Juan Ayuso. He's got kind of a point to prove after leaving for a little trek. And he was up there matching Pogacar for a few moments in the Rwanda World Championships. He's a very, very good rider in the Fon Ardèche and Drôme Classic. So obviously this is tailor-made for him, but obviously the level is a lot higher than it normally is at those races early on in the year.
And Ayuso is a very good one-day racer, like you say, with Fon Ardèche, Trofeo Lagueglia, and 8th in World Champs last week was no mean feat. He was essentially the only person who could follow Pogacar on Mont Kigali. Obviously, he was dropped on the Murder Kigali, which was like the next climb after that. But